Tao, do you think foreigners should come to Vietnam? But I will say, this is the biggest thing. It doesn't matter. Language, culture, religion, or even age. It's just like any kind of supply and demand thing. It's when you're the minority there and gotten more and more upset over the small things. And they don't sweat the small stuff here when you're talking about cost of living. Now, people are gonna say you can do much less, and of course you can. The last subject is jobs. This is a big one because there's increasing amount of people that are still in the working age that are moving to Asia. This is my exact cost of living right now. See the world differently when you see the world. So I'm gonna give my honest review about whether or not I think you should come to Asia to live. So if you clicked on this video, you're probably really curious about the truth about living in Asia. Before I came to Asia, I watched a million of these videos. And stick around to the end because I'm gonna tell you about my general cost of living thus far here in Vietnam. I've been here for about 6 months now. I've been in Asia for about a year now total. So we're gonna hit 6 major points in this video. We're gonna talk about travel, culture, dating, food, cost of living, and of course jobs. Personally, travel was a big one for me because I came here to Asia to do my YouTube channel. I went to Indonesia, Philippines, and wound up here in Vietnam, and have been here for 6 months. Traveling here is very easy, very affordable. I can hop on a plane for a few $100s to Indonesia, a couple $100s to Bali. I can jet over to Thailand, it's an hour flight. I went down to Phuket at one point, like $100, that was quick too, short flight. It was actually the same time to fly from Hochiminhcity to Bangkok as it was from Bangkok to Phuket. Very easy to travel and very affordable. You know, it's very interesting too because of the culture. You know, I've been to Indonesia where it's predominantly a Muslim nation. Thailand is predominantly Buddhist nation. Vietnam is, I suppose, the kind of split, Buddhist and Catholic. And of course the Philippines, which is entirely Catholic. And even though they have different religions, different languages, and somewhat different culture, I don't know what it is, but the Asians seem to have a very similar culture. These kind of seem to have the same bottom line, you know, the same kind of overall attitude, maybe you could say, which is ultimately very chill, very relaxed. I always like to say in Vietnam that people, you can get away with a lot more here in the sense of people don't take things so personally, they're not so sensitive here, but at the same time still very conservative and still very respectful. So it's interesting, it's this very interesting balance. And it's refreshing, you know, especially coming from the US where people, you know, we're not gonna get into that, but you know, it's just as over time, people just gotten more and more sensitive and gotten more and more upset over the small things. And they don't sweat the small stuff here. Let's just say it like that. Overall, I guess you could say in Asia, they don't sweat the small stuff. You know, to be honest, I always would hear that word culture, you know, like, oh, the culture's cool. It's like, okay, cool, whatever. But when you come and experience the life, like the people here, it really is, it's refreshing. It really is. Okay, so let's talk about this one. This is a huge one. This is a very, very big one, dating. Dating in Asia. To be honest, one of the main reasons a lot of foreigners come to Asia, it's one of the main ones, at least for the men, I can't say that for the women. So it's very interesting. You know, the dynamic in Asia is interesting with the dating, especially when it comes to the foreigners and the locals. The main thing is, I think, is when I was in Indonesia, Indonesia has almost 300 million people. Everybody in Indonesia is Indonesian, right? I go to Thailand, everybody in Thailand is Thai, and you think it's obviously, right? But I'm from America, and everybody's mixed there, right? My bloodline, who knows? I got a bunch of mixes inside of me. When you go to those countries, everybody's Filipino, everybody's Vietnamese. Everyone looks very similar. They have similar features, right? We're not gonna say they look the same, but they have similar features. So when you're a foreigner and you get dropped into that, you're different, you look exotic. You know, you're very, very different because everybody is the same in those countries. It's just like any kind of supply and demand thing. Is when you're the minority there, it's pretty powerful, let's just say it that way. A lot of girls in the countries don't like to date foreigners, and a lot of them do. And a lot of them honestly are just shy, and they're really not sure because of whether they get judged, or they're just not comfortable, or it's a big thing, especially in Vietnam, is the language barrier. I think that's the biggest thing, because I have noticed that in Vietnam, I think the dating scene is a little bit harder than some of those other countries. But I will say also though, that a lot of girls here, especially in Vietnam, they take dating very serious. You know, like a lot of them really do date for marriage. A lot of girls don't really like casual dating here. I've been told quite a few times that like in their late 20s, into early 30s, they're like done. Their parents keep asking like, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get married, you know? And so here they generally will get married in their early 20s. So like girls in their early 20s just getting out of university, they're always going to all their friends' weddings. Everyone's getting married and starting to have kids already. But I will say, this is the biggest thing. It doesn't matter. Language, culture, religion, or even age. Women are women. And I'm not saying that to knock women. Women are women. That's just the bottom line. Maybe it's because we're all the same species. Maybe that's why. We'll keep it simple and leave it at that. But I will say, if you come to Asia, try to be respectful in the dating scene. There's a lot of bad stuff. Guys come here and just kind of go on tears, and it's kind of not good. So make sure you're respectful when you come here. Now let's talk about the next one, food. This is one of my favorite subjects. I love food. And that's one of my favorite things about Asia. I've had a lot of amazing food. The food is wide-ranging in Asia. I really enjoyed the food in Indonesia, surprisingly, come to find out. And the food in Vietnam is amazing too. It's known worldwide, but mainly people know like pho and banh mi and stuff like that. But it has a lot of other very good cuisines. And it's very affordable. Great meals for $1 to $3, you know, or you can go into a restaurant and pay something higher, like up to $5 to $10 to $15. So it has a nice range, and you can get everything in between, and you can get very inexpensive, good quality, delicious food. So this is definitely a food lover's paradise. And if you like trying new food, it's so exciting. It really is. It's so exciting. You go to you're discovering the country, the culture, the language, and the food all at the same time. It's very stimulating, and it's really been a great experience. And I'm still enjoying it. And it's been about a year now that I've been in Asia. Another major one is the cost of living in Southeast Asia. It's one of the major attraction points to foreigners, if they're gonna be honest. I would argue that's number one. I could argue that's even more above dating, possibly. It's close to there. They're very close. They go hand in hand. And the cost of living here, let's just say for an apartment, for instance, I believe you can get a wide range. Remember, this is foreigner specific. I'm talking about foreigners who are gonna come to Asia, what they maybe they haven't expected in their mind of where they would want to stay, what kind of apartment. We're talking about $200 to $1,000 a month for a living. And that seems like a pretty wide range. But basically what it is 200, it's gonna get you more in a local area, kind of like a busy streets, very noisy, very loud, but you can get a clean spot, a nice little 1-bedroom apartment or a studio for about $200 a month. Now, a lot of people do that. Most are not going to want to do that. So you step up a little bit, you double that, my range of living, and I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. 1,000 is gonna get you something nice. That's kind of like, if you're familiar with Vietnam and Ho Chi Minh City, they got like Vin Home, Central Park. It's gonna get you somewhere like that. More of a luxury style place. 1 bedroom, maybe possibly 2 bedroom, luxury style. Really nice place. Great amenities, great gym, pool. It's gonna give you all those modern luxuries that you would expect it to be. Now with food and everything, it's gonna be cheap. I eat out every single meal. Scooter transportation is pretty cheap. You can rent a scooter for, $50 to $100 a month, depending on how nice you want it. Or you can buy one. You can buy a good scooter from $500 to $1,500, depending on what level. Spend $2 or $3 grand, get yourself a nice little motorcycle. Cell phone bill is cheap. Electricity is relatively cheap. I'm paying anywhere from like $20 to $30 a month for my electricity in my place. But overall, I would say a sweet spot for me, people kind of can expect to spend when they come here, is about $1,200 to $1,500 a month. That's paying for everything. That's eating out, paying for your apartment, transportation, that's everything. And that's even like $1,500 a month could even be like you taking taxis everywhere, That'll definitely cover the cost, and I think that's a great number to kind of keep in mind. Now, people are gonna say you can do much less, and of course you can. And remember, I started off at $200 for cost of living. You can go down, you could be spending $400 or $500 a month living here if you really wanted to. If you're coming here, especially not for a long time, it's gonna jump up quickly. You can easily go out and go to really nice dinners, and you can spend a lot more money than you would expect. It's easy to do here. You can get very inexpensive, and you can also get very, I guess you could say, normal pricing, compared to like Western countries. So that's your decision with the cost of living. It's up to you, and it's actually it's a great luxury that you have coming as a foreigner, because you can choose. You can say, oh, I just want to stay in a $400 or $500 a month apartment, a nice place, clean place, or you can say, oh, I want to stay in a more luxurious place. You have a lot of wiggle room. You have a lot of options you can choose from. And the last subject is jobs. This is a big one because there's increasing amount of people that are still in the working age that are moving to Asia. Before it was generally retired people, but it's now becoming more and more people in the working age. There's many options. Big one in Vietnam is teaching. Now you hop over to Thailand, it's half the amount that you would make. You hop over to Indonesia, it's half the amount that you would make in Vietnam. For some reason, Vietnam is in this sweet spot right now to where for teaching, you get paid a very high wage, and especially in comparison to the cost of living here. And it's almost, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, because like I said, you go to Thailand and it's cut in half. You go to Indonesia, it's cut in half. I'm not sure about the Philippines, but the Philippines English is so good that you have to, I think, be a teacher back in America if you want to teach in the Philippines. Actually, a lot of Filipinos come to Vietnam and make a great living wage, a lot more than they would make teaching in the Philippines, and they come teach here in Vietnam. On a side note too, it's the English here is becoming increasingly better. The kids here's English is growing very quickly. So the next 5 to 10 years, that whole market is gonna be very interesting to see what happens. I think the demand's gonna go lower because Vietnamese English level is gonna be so much higher. That's gonna be teaching within the country. There's a big entrepreneurship spirit here in Vietnam, with not only with the Vietnamese people, because honestly, Vietnamese people are hustlers. They really are. I feel like it's kind of in their blood. They have this business mentality. And I think that's why it's easier too for foreigners to live here, because it's just, as long as you have money, they want to do business. You know, you would need somewhere to stay. They want to do business. There's services. You know, everyone's got a business. It seems like most of the homes has a business in front of it. You know, like if they're home, they'll be selling tea or something anyway. Like there's always just some kind of business, and they're always open, they're always willing to work, and they're efficient, and they're fast, and it's good quality. It's nice. But a lot of foreigners move over here and start companies, and there's a lot of companies that are developing here, and a lot of people come over here because of like that cheaper labor. Tons of manufacturing is starting to get moved here. Don't quote me on this, but I believe that Apple is moving 20% of their production from China to Vietnam. They're in the process of that. That's what I heard. 20% of their manufacturing from China to Vietnam is pretty massive, because Apple is a huge company, obviously. Another thing too people do is work online. Now the visa situation will be changing shortly. They're bringing back the 3-month visa here in Vietnam, tourist visa, so it will be easier to work online here. The visa situation isn't as friendly here as it is in Thailand. In Indonesia, they have a lot of like digital nomad visa, and I believe Thailand does too. And I'm not too sure if Vietnam's ever gonna roll out something like that, but there's a lot of foreign companies here. A lot of expats work here for American companies, German companies. Companies from around the world have a lot of offices and do a lot of business here in Vietnam. So I'm gonna give my honest review about whether or not I think you should come to Asia to live, you know. Honestly, I would say no. That's my first initial gut reaction. To live, no. I would say definitely what you should try to do is take a long vacation. As long as a vacation as you possibly can. 2 months, 3 months, if you really can, multiple months. In my opinion, if you come to Asia for 6 months, go to few different countries, you're gonna think, okay, this is awesome, but I think I'm ready to go back home. Depends on the person, but for sure after a couple months, I'd say 2 to 3, kind of once the shine starts to wear off a little, you'll know whether or not you really want to come to Asia. And that was my experience, at least. After about 3 months, it was less exciting. After about 6 months, then I was like, okay, I see now. I feel like I kind of got my fill. It's been about a year now, and it's still exciting and great, but it's just like anything. It's just day-to-day life. It's just like anywhere, you know, you're just living in another country. Now, granted, it's very exciting and it's awesome. I definitely recommend it. I'm not trying to talk anybody out of it. But when we're talking in general, I think for most people, it's best just to stay home and just come on frequent vacations. Or ideally, you can split time living back home and living here. That for me would be ideal. I think that would be pretty awesome. Because then you go home, you kind of get accustomed to home a little bit, and you rip off the Band-Aid, you come back to Asia, you know, it's exciting, and then you go home. So I think you kind of get the both of best worlds. This is my exact cost of living right now. So for rent, I'm paying about $320 a month. Gas, I'm paying about $20 a month for the scooter. It's a 150cc scooter, so not much for gas. Bike rental, $60. Insurance, $40. Eating out, this is the big one. I'm guessing it's about $450 to $500 a month on average is what I'm spending each month to eat out. Oh, and I keep in mind, I go to a lot of coffee shops. I'd much rather spend time outside than at home. You know, so a lot of times instead of going at home, I'll go out to a coffee shop or somewhere. And that's a lot of street food, a lot of local food there too. A lot of foreigners don't like to eat. They'll only eat Western food, and that can easily be doubled. If you seriously only like to eat Western food is more expensive here. For instance, there's a diner here. It's called Eddie's. It's an American diner. He has 2 locations and it's very popular. They got a double cheeseburger on the menu that's $16. Okay, it's $16. I'm sure it's good, but that's like the same as back. That's more expensive than back home. Who knows? I'm sure the comments now with inflation, they're gonna be like, double cheeseburger's $25 now, but I love to eat the local food. So there's days where I'll hit the $1 or $2 street meal as well, or the $1.75 banh mi. I kind of have a nice balance. But for me, I would say about $500 is probably the average I spend a month for food. For my visas right now, it's $60 a month. As for Cambodia and the Vietnamese visa, and the gym, which I'm about to get back into, is gonna be about $20 a month. You can get it for about half of that a month for a good, decent gym. So the grand total for all that is just under $1,000, $970. So I have a good idea where I'm still a little bit cheaper, but I'm not too cheap, and I still always eat out, and I'm not frugal about that. So I'm kind of in the middle. You know, $1,000 a month is really in the middle. Obviously, if you eat at home a lot and you don't like to go out and you're frugal, you can save a lot more money. But when you're coming to a country, you're gonna wanna explore and be outside all the time. So all in all, I recommend coming to Asia, for sure. It's been wonderful for me. I've had a wonderful time. It's been really a really exciting time, and it's really changed my perspective on life in a lot of ways. It's really opened me up, I guess, ways that I would have never really thought. You know, it really is, you see the world differently when you see the world. Okay, so I have Tao here.
Yeah.
Tao. And Tao is a local university student, and so she knows English pretty well, so luckily she can help me out. So Tao, do you think foreigners should come to Vietnam?
Yeah, of course, can come to Vietnam because this is a beautiful country. So yeah, we got a lot of diversity in culture, and also, yeah, that you should come to here and enjoy it.
Yeah, enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
What do you think the number one reason foreigners should come to Vietnam for?
One reason?
Yeah, what the best reason? The best reason.
The best reason? I think that the friendliness of the people in local.
The friendliness of people and locals? Okay.
Yeah, really.
All right. I always ask, if there's one country, number one country you would like to visit?
Number one country? I really want to go to Arab.
Oh, Middle
British?
East?
British?
Oh, England?
Yeah.
England? Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, Britain. Okay, Britain. England. Okay.
Yeah.
London?
Yeah, so it's quite wonderful. So I really want to come here.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. All right. Well, thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Number like 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you ready? You do with me. We both go just go like this. So I'm gonna take the video
Yeah.
and I'm gonna take photo from video.
Yeah.
Okay? So just hold up number 1.
Number one, yeah. Like that?
No L. Just 1, yeah.
No.
Yeah, okay, just smile, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.